Discovering a hidden truth. How a simple balance check transformed a millionaire's life forever. Jake sat in his cramped office, rain pitter-pattering against the window like 100 impatient fingers. The scent of fresh-cut grass wafted through the air, but it couldn't drown out the heavy weight deep in his chest. At 34, he was the town's dependable mechanic, always ready with a smile and a helping hand. But the laughter drifting down the street felt distant, like a world he could never truly join. Every evening, he wrestled with bills and an unsettling question. Would he always be stuck in the cycle of financial struggle? It was on this stormy afternoon that he stumbled upon a dusty box, tucked away in a corner of his father's old workshop. Jake's heart raced as he lifted the lid, stirring memories of his childhood. Inside were yellowed bank statements and documents that seemed to whisper forgotten secrets. As he sifted through the contents, a particular piece caught his eye. His hands trembled as he read he was an heir to a hidden fortune, the discovery of an invention by his grandfather, a legacy that could shatter his mundane world. Jake's heart pounded wildly. A millionaire? Bittersweet laughter bubbled up in him, but it dropped just as quickly. Guilt crept in, twisting in his gut. Would accepting this fortune mean abandoning the sweat and struggles that formed him? He didn't want to become like his childhood friends, who flaunted their wealth and status while he barely scraped by. Would he trade integrity for riches? His sister Sarah drifted through his mind, her words echoing louder than the storm outside. "Jake, I'm worried," she said the last time they spoke. "What if money changes us? What if we lose what really matters?" She was right. Their bond was everything to him, and he feared wealth could poison that connection. As tensions rose in town due to growing disparities between the affluent and those struggling, Jake felt a tug to make a difference. Should he keep this windfall to himself, or should he channel it into something that would help his community? Yet, the fear of making things worse consumed him. He pictured the looks of skepticism he might get, the assumptions that would ripple through the town like wildfire. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The idea struck him like lightning. A community center, a bridge to connect rich and poor under one roof. But as he stood before a crowd, filled with familiar faces, Jake's voice quivered with anticipation. "I want to create a space where we can all come together, heal, and grow," he proclaimed. Skepticism washed over the crowd like cold rain, their doubts echoing in silence as whispers of disbelief swept through. Could a mechanic like him truly pull this off? Jake took a deep breath, the weight of the moment pressing down. Would he risk everything to prove that his worth wasn't measured by his bank account, but by the heart he invested into the community he loved? As the storm raged on outside, he felt the first flicker of hope within him. Yet deep down, he wondered, could this journey lead to either a rebirth of his spirit or an unraveling of his world? The murmurs in the crowd began to simmer, shifting from disbelief to curiosity. Faces that once wore skepticism now sparked with cautious interest. Jake clenched his fists, feeling the momentum shift. Each unfamiliar gaze held a chance to prove that good intentions could change lives. If he stumbled, would they pull him back up or watch him fall? The thought lingered, leaving an unsettling chill in the air. "Together, we can build a community center," he continued, trying to find strength in his voice. "A place where we won't just coexist, but really connect." The words fell from his lips, full of determination, even as a part of him faltered with doubt. Would the townsfolk believe in him? He glanced at Sarah among the crowd, her brow furrowed with concern, yet encouragement flickered in her eyes. "You've got this," he imagined her saying, her hand resting on his shoulder, urging him forward. That thought became his lifeline as he pushed through the nervous knot in his stomach. "A community center gives us all a voice," Jake emphasized. "Whether you're struggling or thriving, everyone matters here. We can create job opportunities. We can offer workshops, help our youth find their path, and give everyone the tools to succeed." The words painted pictures of laughter echoing off the walls, of hands coming together to build something beautiful. A man in the front row, Tom, a local carpenter, furrowed his brow and spoke up. But where's the funding for this, Jake? How will we trust you? You're just a mechanic. Jake felt the sting of that jab. Yet he forced a smile. He knew he had to stay genuine. I know I'm just a mechanic, Jake admitted, his voice strong against the doubt. But I have vision and heart. And if I have this fortune, I can use it for us all instead of hiding behind it. I'm one of you. Silence enveloped the room, the tension pulsing like a live wire. Questions hung heavy in the still air, weighing down hopes and possibilities. Would he find a way to fund the dream, or would it all vanish like smoke? He could feel their gazes analyzing his worth, weighing it against their past experiences, their own struggles woven deep into the fabric of their lives. After what felt like an eternity, Sarah stepped forward, her gaze unwavering. Listen, everyone, she began, her voice steady. I believe in Jake. We've seen how he has always looked out for this community, always lending a hand. This is the chance for all of us to join him. As she spoke, the initial walls of skepticism began to crack. Jake watched Mr. Thompson, the retired teacher, nodding slowly. Then Helen, the bakery owner, stepped forward, her eyes bright with understanding. If Jake believes we can do this, then I'm in. One by one, voices began to rise, echoing support and commitment, the energy shifting from doubt to possibility. A small gasp escaped Jake's lips. Could this really happen? Would they stand with him, united? As the crowd buzzed with newfound excitement, Jake felt his heart swell with hope. Maybe this was the rebirth he longed for, a chance to redefine his identity. Yet, just as doubts began to fade, he remembered the letters in the box, the inheritance waiting for him. Could it truly be the foundation he needed? Or would it tear apart everything he'd just started to mend? His mind raced with the possibilities, the thrill and fear mingling like storm clouds overhead. As he looked out at his community, he knew the path ahead was fraught with uncertainty, but the flicker of hope persisted. Jake took a deep breath, ready to embrace whatever came next. But the question loomed large in his mind. Would he choose to embrace his hidden fortune, redefining himself in the process? Or would he risk everything to stay true to the man he was? Jake stood frozen as the cheers broke out among the crowd. Encouragement flowed like a river, pulling him in. But contrast surged inside him, excitement clashed with apprehension. He was ready to serve, ready to lead. Yet the weight of unearned fortune felt heavy on his shoulders. Jake. Jake. The chant erupted around him, igniting something deep within. People were galvanized by the notion of change, and he wanted to believe that he could fuel it. The community's need tugged at his heart, intertwining with that gnawing fear. His pulse quickened as he thought of the letters tucked away back home, the promises and secrets bound in paper. What would happen if he revealed the inheritance? Would he be seen as a savior, or just the mechanic who stumbled onto good fortune? Let us make this happen, he shouted to the crowd. The response was thunderous, affirming a surge of confidence. But with that rush came the looming shadow of doubt. Could he truly lead them to success? And what if, when the truth came out, they turned on him? After the meeting wrapped up, Sarah approached him, her face flushed with enthusiasm. Jake, you were amazing. I could see everyone's energy changing, she said, her smile brightening the space around them. The flicker of pride in her gaze rekindled Jake's hope. They really believe in you. We can do this. Yeah. I feel it too, he replied, his mind still tangled in thoughts of the letters. But Sarah, there's something I need to figure out. It's about my inheritance. He hesitated, watching her expression shift from excitement to curiosity. What do you mean? She pressed. Those letters I got, they're about money, a lot of it. I have to decide if I want to share that with the community or keep it for myself. I don't want to be seen as some rich outsider, he confessed, his voice barely above a whisper. Sarah stepped closer, her brow creased with concern. You shouldn't feel guilty about having a fortune. If you use it to help people, that's what matters. Just think about the good you could do. Jake nodded, weighing her words, but a fog of uncertainty hung over him. Each door he had opened felt heavy with what lay beyond. As the evening drew to a close, he found himself walking home, his surroundings quieted but his thoughts loud. His hands were shaking slightly as he clasped his phone, scrolling through photos of the dilapidated center they could transform. It was drenched in potential, but so was he, right? He had always been one to lend a hand, to shoulder the burden of others. How could he embrace wealth without losing that part of himself? Once back at home, he approached the box containing the letters. The moonlight trickled through the window, illuminating the dusty artifacts of his past. He ran his fingers over the envelope, understanding that this moment symbolized far more than money. It represented choices, paths that could lead him to change lives or isolate him in comfort. The voices of his neighbors lingered in his mind, their hopes glowing like embers. Would tapping into that fortune allow him to forge connections, or would it create a barrier of envy and mistrust? The dichotomy clawed at his insides. Suddenly, a knock on the door startled him. He opened it to find Mr. Thompson standing there, looking serious. "Jake, I've been thinking. We need a leader. Someone who can inspire us and make this project happen." Jake blinked, struck by the urgency in Mr. Thompson's voice, feeling the weight of his words. "And I want to be that leader." But he paused, uncertainty flooding back. "But do you really believe I can pull this off?" The older man studied him, eyes full of intensity. "You're not just a mechanic, Jake. You're part of us now. Make that decision and we'll support you." Jake's heart raced. The realization hit him then. This was not just about money or a community center. It was about trust, faith, and his own truth. Would he summon the courage to fully embrace who he was meant to be? Or would he retreat into the shadows? The air felt electric with possibilities as he registered Mr. Thompson's words. Hanging suspended in the night. Tomorrow would bring decisions that could change everything. And the first choice loomed larger than life. To step into his truth or lose everything he had fought for. The morning light spilled over Jake's small town, casting a warm glow on the cracked sidewalks and weathered houses, all speaking of shared stories and dreams. He awoke with an uneasy weight pressing on his chest. Today held the promise of choices, each one as sharp as the morning chill. As he prepared for the day, Jake felt the letters beckoning him like an old friend calling from the shadows. He could hardly eat breakfast, each bite heavy with thoughts of what revealing or concealing that inheritance might mean. Would this fortune define him or free him? Would it knit him closer to the community, or stitch a cloak of separation around him? With a determined breath, he grabbed the box and headed for the community center. The walls were peeling, and the once vibrant mural had faded. Fixing it would require more than just effort. It would require trust and teamwork. And maybe a little financial help from those letters. He arrived to see a small crowd gathering, catching snippets of conversations buzzing around hope and ambition. Sarah was there, her smile radiant, but she seemed somewhat worried. She caught his eye and waved him over, her enthusiasm deflating slightly as she looked at him. "Jake, we were just talking about starting a fundraising campaign. Everyone is so pumped to get going." But she bit her lip. "What if we can't raise enough? We might need more resources." The hesitation in her voice made Jake's heart flutter with unease. He searched her face for the confidence he had felt from her the night before. "Sarah, what if I told you I might be able to help with that?" His voice was steady, but inside his pulse raced. Would this be the moment he crossed that line? "I have some resources I could share." Her eyes widened, a mixture of hope and concern swirling within them. "What do you mean? Are you talking about your inheritance?" He nodded, the words clenching in his throat. "Yeah, but it's complicated. I just need to figure out how to do this right." As he looked around, he felt the weight of every gaze on him, the unspoken belief changing the air around them. It was no longer just his dilemma, it was theirs too. The future of the community hung in a delicate balance. "Jake." Mr. Thompson stepped forward, voice steady. "Whatever you're holding back doesn't just affect you. We're all in this together. You've ignited something within us, and we trust you to lead us. If you have something to share, now is the time." Jake swallowed hard. The room was waiting, hanging on his every word, and he could feel their collective hope washing over him. Fear mingled with excitement, twisting in his gut. I have a plan," he began, the tension in his voice breaking as he committed to his words. "If we partner this project with the funds I have access to, we can not only renovate the center, but make it a true hub for all of us. It could be a place for support, learning, and inspiration. The instant buzz of approval exploded around him, energy coursing through the space. Sarah beamed at him, her encouragement as vivid as the sunlight pouring in through the windows. But we need each other's ideas, skills, and hearts, he added, grounding himself in unity. We'll create this together. No rich outsider here, just all of us. The room erupted in applause, voices rising in excitement, and Jake felt a swell of pride. For the first time, he could see a community united, ready to collaborate toward a shared vision. Yet even amidst the celebration, a small shadow loomed in the back of his mind. What if they were only rallying for the promise of money? What if the moment he revealed his wealth, everything changed? Would trust snap like a fragile thread? As laughter echoed around him, Jake glanced at the box of letters hidden behind his confident facade, feeling the conflict stir deep within. Could he really build something beautiful from the chaotic threads of his inheritance? And would revealing it truly bind the community together, or tear it apart forever? What awaited Jake as he unveiled the truth behind his newfound hopes? Jake stood amidst the cheering crowd, feeling a warmth swell in his chest. It was a moment he'd anticipated, a spark igniting the community's potential. Yet every clapping hand felt like a countdown, each cheer a reminder that soon, he would have to tell them what lay in that box. Let us discuss what we want this center to be, he said, trying to steer the focus away from his internal struggle. The energy shifted. People began tossing around ideas with enthusiasm. They wanted art classes, youth programs, a place for everyone to gather. As their plans unfolded, Jake's heart raced. This was it, this was the dream he had wanted to share with them. But fear gripped him once again. The heart of this project hinged on his wealth, and would they truly embrace him, or would they resent him for it? He couldn't let that worry cloud the excitement in the room, so he forced a smile and wrote down every suggestion. Hours passed, and as the meeting wrapped up, the group pitched into organized teams for their various projects. Laughter and animated discussions filled the center, creating a beat that felt like a heartbeat, a pulse of life. Sarah walked over, her brow furrowed. "Jake," she said softly, "are you okay? You've been quiet." He glanced at her, the concern in her eyes touching some part of him he thought was too heavy to reach. "I'm fine really. Just thinking about the next steps." "Good. I mean, this is great progress," she said, though her tone still hinted at worry. Her warmth was a beacon, cutting through his doubts even just a little. As people filtered out, Jake lingered, drawing the box closer to him. He opened it, revealing the letters filled with promises, burdens, and hope, a lifetime of decisions handed to him by a stranger, but burdening him like an anchor. "Hey, you coming?" Sarah called, her voice echoing through the empty hall. "Yeah, just a sec." He looked at the letters, the single thread he hadn't yet pulled. The worry clawed at him again like a persistent itch. If he didn't share the truth, would that cost him the trust he'd built today? Suddenly, he felt a hand on his shoulder. Mr. Thompson stood there, his gaze warm but probing. "What's on your mind, Jake?" I want to make sure we're all in this together. I want everyone to feel part of it, you know?" Jake said, almost pleading. "Trust us to support you, just like how you're supporting us," Mr. Thompson replied, an understanding smile breaking through wrinkles of experience. "But you must trust us too," he added, raising an eyebrow knowingly. Jake knew the dance wasn't just about labor and money, it was about authenticity. The moment felt like a hinge swinging open, revealing possibilities he hadn't imagined. So much hung in the balance. Yet as he saw the flickering embers of community spirit all around him, a small voice urged him to just let go. Taking a deep breath, he closed the box and slid it back under the table. "You're right. We can figure this out together. I'll share what I need to in time." As he followed Sarah and Mr. Thompson out into the bright afternoon sun, he could feel an unfamiliar lightness fluttering in his chest. Maybe this was a step forward. Maybe trust could grow, wrapping around their plans like willow branches, strong yet flexible. But as Jake walked, the distant sound of laughter began to lighten his heart until a sudden thought crashed over him. What would be his first step when he ultimately unveiled the truth? The sun dimmed as shadows grew long, casting doubts that he hurried to shake off. Yet in those shadows, a question lingered. Would they welcome him as family, Or would the truth sever the ties he longed to strengthen? Determined, Jake forged ahead, uncertain but hopeful, ready for the moment the truth would finally spill out. What awaited in the next chapter of this journey, he was determined to take. Jake sat on the edge of his bed that night, the thoughts swirling like leaves caught in a gust of wind. The echo of joy from the community center had faded, replaced by a heavy silence that felt almost oppressive. He stared at the box tucked away in the corner, its contents whispering secrets he wasn't ready to face. Each letter inside was like a tether, holding pieces of a past he was still trying to understand. He had left the meeting feeling buoyant, riding high on the consensus and shared dreams. But that thrill was quickly waning, replaced with a gnawing anxiety. Tomorrow, he'd see everyone again, and he could feel the weight of their expectations pressing down on him. What if they discovered the truth before he was ready? What if their laughter turned to whispers of betrayal? Jake's mind drifted to Sarah. Her warmth was a stark contrast to his turmoil. Perhaps she could help him find clarity. Taking a breath, he picked up his phone and scrolled through his contacts. When he reached Sarah's name, his heart raced. It took just a moment of courage before he hit call. "Hey Jake." She answered, her voice bright and cheerful. "Hey Sarah. Do you have a minute?" "Of course. What's going on? Could we meet up? Maybe grab some coffee? I've got some things I need to talk about, important things." "Sure, how about the cafe on 5th? I'll be there in 20. "Sounds great. Thanks." As he hung up, a mix of relief and dread washed over him. He had taken the first step toward sharing, yet with that step came a realization. The truth wouldn't just alter his future. It had the power to reshape his past too. When Jake arrived at the cafe, the warm aroma of coffee enveloped him, providing a momentary comfort. He spotted Sarah at a corner table, her eyes lighting up when she saw him. He felt his heart flutter with a mixture of affection and fear. "Jake, I'm so glad you called. You look a bit tense," she said, her tone gentle as she gestured for him to sit. "Yeah, I guess I'm just worried about the center and everything," he confessed, fumbling with his mug. "Everyone's so excited." "You did amazing today," she encouraged, her eyes sincere. "Today was just the beginning," he replied, his voice heavy with unspoken words. "There's something I need to share, something about me." The laughter and chatter from other tables faded as Jake took a deep breath. He leaned in closer, his heart pounding as he searched for the right words. "I have resources, Sarah. A lot of them, and I'm scared they will change how people see me." She went quiet, studying him, clearly expecting weighty matters. "Jake, you're so much more than your wealth. But that's what's complicated. I want them to see me, not just the money," he said, the urgency in his voice rising like foam on a boiling pot. "What if they think I'm doing this out of guilt? Or for praise? I want to be a part of this community, not the outsider with a checkbook." Sarah reached out, placing her hand over his. "But they already appreciate what you're bringing into their lives. The money is just a tool. If you lead with honesty, they'll see the real you." He considered her words, the warm pressure of her hand grounding him in the moment. "You really think they'll accept me?" "I know they will," she replied, the conviction in her voice wrapping around him like a lifeline. "But you have to let them in." Jake's heart raced at the prospect. The truth felt like a brick wall, enormous and immovable. Yet perhaps by sharing it he could carve a door into this wall, one that could lead to understanding, acceptance and connection. The cafe buzzed around them, yet in that space, everything else faded but her presence. "Okay," he whispered, determination slowly igniting within. "I'll share it. But when?" As the questions hung in the air, Jake realized the truth felt less scary with Sarah beside him. But how would the community react when they finally learned his deepest secret? Would it really bridge gaps or deepen divides? His heart was pounding with anticipation, the moment hanging like ripe fruit ready to drop. Tomorrow was a new day, and with it the potential for transformation. But would he find the courage to unveil his truth? Jake woke up the next morning feeling the sun's rays softly dancing on his face. It was a new day, yet his heart was still heavy with the weight of what lay ahead. He dragged himself from bed, the comfort of his dreams replaced by a reality full of uncertainty. After a quick breakfast, he paced around his apartment, his mind racing. The clock on the wall ticked away, each second echoing the mounting tension in his chest. The community center meeting was still hours away, but he was already spiraling into a whirlwind of what-ifs. What if no one wanted his help? What if they judged him based on his wealth alone? He picked up the box from the corner again, his fingers brushing over its worn surface. The letters inside seemed to beckon him. Should he read them? Perhaps understanding his past could ease the path to his future. He took a deep breath and opened the box. Inside, the letters were stacked neatly, each one a reminder of a life he had distanced himself from. He picked one at random, unfolding the fragile paper with care. The handwriting was familiar and strained, revealing the emotions of a time when he was still trying to find his footing. As he read, Jake felt a strange comfort. The letter was dated years ago, during a tumultuous phase when wealth felt more like a burden than a blessing. The words reflected fear, confusion, and a desperate search for belonging. He remembered that ache all too well. This was who he was. Not just a millionaire with resources, but a man who once felt lost, just like everyone else. The realization began to shift something inside him. His wealth didn't define him. It was simply a tool that could open doors or even build bridges. He glanced at the clock. He was running late. After hastily putting away the box, he grabbed his coat and headed out. The cool air hit him, sharpening his senses. The world felt alive, filled with possibilities. Walking towards the community center, he noticed the vibrant murals painted on the walls, each depicting stories of hope and resilience. The atmosphere buzzed with energy, filled with laughter and conversations as people gathered. Jake hesitated at the entrance, his palms clammy with anxiety. "Just be yourself," he whispered to himself, stifling the lingering doubts. Inside, familiar faces greeted him, and the warmth of their excitement wrapped around him like a hug. They were genuinely thrilled about his involvement. Each smile was a beacon of acceptance, and that energy began to dissolve his tension. As he stepped onto the makeshift stage, the room quieted. All eyes were on him, anticipation hanging thick in the air. He was about to share, to lay bare the truth he held onto tightly. He felt Sarah's eyes in the crowd, her encouragement providing strength. "Thank you all for being here today," he started, his voice steady at first but gradually gaining momentum. "I want to talk about something important, about who I am beyond the resources I have." He met their gazes, searching for understanding. "I've been fortunate, yes, but that doesn't mean I've always known how to connect. I struggled with relationships, feeling isolated because of what I had." Jake's heart raced, but he pressed on. "I don't want to be seen just as a source of funding. I'm here to be a partner, a friend. I want to make a difference. Yes, but not out of guilt or obligation. I want to share this journey with you. And I want to learn from you too." A ripple of murmurs spread throughout the crowd, some faces shocked, others intrigued. He could feel the weight of their curiosity, and it both thrilled and terrified him. "Thank you, Jake," a woman in the back called out, her voice breaking through the lingering silence. "That took a lot of courage to say. We appreciate your honesty." Jake inhaled sharply, the warmth from her words washing over him. He felt a smile break through the tension. But as applause erupted around him, he sensed a gap, an unspoken question lingering like smoke. What would they think of his past? What would happen once they unwrapped the layers he'd been too afraid to reveal? The weight of unshared truths still hung heavy, and Jake knew this was just the beginning of the journey. As he stepped down, excitement and dread clashed in his chest. Today was a leap into the unknown. But would they truly embrace him? Or would the secrets he held change everything they had just built together? As the applause faded, Jake stepped down from the stage, his heart still racing. The energy in the room pulsed with genuine excitement, but beneath that was a current of uncertainty that mirrored his own feelings. He scanned the crowd, searching for a familiar face. There she was, Sarah, beaming at him, her eyes sparkling with pride. He made his way through the crowd, shaking hands and exchanging smiles. Each connection felt like a thread weaving him into the fabric of this community. Those initial whispers of doubt were gradually being replaced by something warmer, hope. Maybe this was where he belonged. Sarah called, catching up to him. "That was incredible. I couldn't believe how openly you spoke." She nudged him playfully. "Who knew you had such a way with words?" "Thanks, Sarah. It was liberating, honestly." But I still feel like there's so much more to share, he confessed, glancing at the group still buzzing with conversation. Every journey begins with a step. You took the first one today. Her words wrapped around him, soothing his lingering anxiety. Let us focus on what's next. Their conversation shifted to the plans for the community center, a place where ideas flourished and hope thrived. Suddenly, a man approached them, interrupting with a wide smile. Hey there. I'm Steven, he introduced himself, extending his hand. Just wanted to say, your story moved me. I've been on the other side of wanting to connect with people for a long time myself. What you said today really resonated. Jake felt a swell of gratitude. Thank you, Steven. I appreciate that. It means a lot to hear. As they spoke, a small group gathered around them, eager to share their stories and struggles. Jake felt a warmth spreading inside him, as if the words he had bared had kindled something deep within the people here. They shared laughter, some tears, and tales of resilience that echoed his own journey. Hours passed, but it felt like mere moments. It wasn't just about him anymore, it was about all of them. Their stories intertwined with his, creating a tapestry rich in experience and emotion. But as he left that day, exhaustion creeping in, a nagging thought resurfaced. Had he truly been open? The letters in that box loomed in his mind, holding memories he wasn't ready to confront fully. Would sharing that part of his life change how they saw him? Later that night, he sat at his kitchen table, the box once again in front of him. The weight of the letters seemed heavier now. Maybe understanding his past would give a clearer perspective on who he could be going forward. With a resigned sigh, he opened the box again, pulling out another letter. This one was from a friend, revealing struggles that mirrored his own. The intricate details pulled him in, the words dancing in his mind like shadows. What if he shared this with them? Would it deepen their connection or create a distance? As he read on, the familiar ache of vulnerability washed over him, raw and potent. Suddenly, a knock on his door shattered the silence. Startled, he glanced at the clock. It was late. Who could it be? With trepidation, he opened the door, revealing Sarah standing there, her expression a blend of urgency and concern. Jake, she said, her voice firm yet soft. We need to talk. The night had already begun to unravel in unexpected ways, and Jake felt a rush of adrenaline and fear. What could she possibly want to reveal that would change everything he thought he knew? Did she sense the unresolved truths he kept locked away? In that moment, the weight of possibilities hung thick in the air, leaving Jake speechless. What secrets were about to come to light? And how would they alter the course of his new journey? Jake stepped back, the door still partially open as he weighed Sarah's words. Her eyes were earnest, wide, filled with an intensity that both frightened and intrigued him. Did she really know? How could she understand the labyrinth of thoughts swirling inside him? Can we come in? She asked, glancing over her shoulder as if to ensure they were alone. He nodded slowly, moving aside to let her pass. Once they were seated at the kitchen table, the atmosphere shifted from buzzing energy to a tense silence. Jake's heart thudded in his chest. Jake, she started, but her voice faltered. She took a deep breath and closed her eyes for a brief moment. I wasn't sure if I should talk to you about this, but I need you to know that I've been through something too. He leaned in, curiosity overriding his fears. What do you mean? There's more to this community center than you know. More than just a place to share stories. Her fingers traced the table's edge, anxiety showing in her movements. I've been helping to organize an initiative that connects people with their pasts through storytelling, but also through sharing struggles that we don't often talk about. Jake's brow furrowed. Like a group therapy session? Sort of. But different. We want to create a safe space for vulnerability, where people can heal together by revealing their truths. I thought maybe you could lead a session. You have a real gift, Jake. Her words struck him like a lightning bolt, illuminating a path he'd been too afraid to explore. Could he turn his journey into a guide for others? The idea was both terrifying and exhilarating. But then something else dawned on him. And you want me to do this without sharing my own truths? She nodded, her gaze steady. I don't think you have to reveal everything all at once. Start where you're comfortable. But those letters, they might be essential for you, for us to truly connect. Jake swallowed hard, the lump in his throat making it difficult to speak. What if I can't handle it? What if going back to those memories drags me down? Then we face it together, she replied softly. You'll never be alone in this. None of us will. Her sincerity washed over him, making him feel lighter yet heavier at the same time. He considered the letters, their weight now a complex mix of fear and possibility. Sarah, I don't know, he whispered, doubt creeping back in. What if sharing this tears everything apart? What if they don't accept me? Those letters won't define you. They're a part of your story, just like all of us have a past that shapes us. But what matters is how you move forward. You're not just Jake anymore. You're a part of a community that needs you. Maybe it's time to embrace all of that. As he wrestled with her words, the silence in the room felt thick. His gaze drifted to the box on the table, the letters waiting for him like unopened gifts. Let me show you something, Sarah said suddenly, as if a thought had ignited. She reached into her backpack and pulled out a small notebook, filled with her own insights, reflections, and raw emotions. I've been writing too. It helps me process everything. He took the notebook from her hands, flipping through the pages filled with her genuine fears, dreams, and the moments that shaped her life. Suddenly, something inside him shifted. Perhaps sharing his truth wasn't just about unearthing pain. It was about discovering new connections and healing in ways he never anticipated. But just as hope began to twinkle in his heart, Sarah's phone buzzed, breaking the moment. She checked the screen and her expression changed, a hint of panic creeping in. I need to go. Something's come up at the center. Can you think about what I said? We really could use your voice. Before he could respond, she stood and rushed for the door, leaving him standing there, framed in a sudden hush. Questions swirled in his mind. Would he take the leap? The spinning thoughts of letters, community, and vulnerability coalesced into a single urgent question. Was he truly ready to confront his past and embrace this new chapter? As the door clicked shut behind her, Jake felt the weight of potential shift, ready to burst into something beautiful or terrifying. He realized he was standing on the precipice of change, and whether he took a step forward or looked back would decide the course of his journey. With a deep breath, he sat back down at the table, the box still open, but this time with a spark of determination igniting within him. He knew the next move was crucial, and the thought of what lay ahead both thrilled and terrified him. What truths would the letters reveal, and how would they guide him? Jake spent the night wrestling with his thoughts, the letters' weight pressing heavily on his mind. He could still hear Sarah's voice, urging him to embrace his truth, and the warmth of shared connection tugged insistently at him. With dawn's early light streaming through his window, illuminating the room like a beacon, Jake pulled the box toward him. This time he felt ready to confront his past, ready to perhaps even share it. He marveled at the simple idea that this journey might not just be about wealth or his inheritance. Perhaps it was about the pivotal moments that had shaped him into the man he was today. Taking a deep breath, he carefully picked up the first letter, sweat trickling down his spine as he began to read. Each word felt like a time capsule, unveiling pieces of his grandfather's life intertwined with his own. Stories of struggle and success, love and loss. They echoed through the pages, wrapping Jake in the legacy that he had only glimpsed until now. As hours passed, Jake felt the tension in his chest begin to lift. This wasn't just a burden. It was a conversation, a bridge. His grandfather had faced his own fears too, and through these letters, Jake felt a palpable connection across generations. It hit him like a flood. Revealing this part of himself might not sever his ties with his community, but instead weave them tighter. With renewed determination, he decided to speak at the community center that afternoon. As he walked over, anticipation thrumming in the air, he imagined each face in the crowd. The supportive glow of familiar smiles, eager to learn and grow together, filled him with excitement. When he arrived, the energy was electric. People buzzed with hope, plans swirling through the air like confetti. Jake stepped forward, the crowd quieting as he took a deep breath, ready to embrace vulnerability. Thank you all for being here. Today is a special moment for me, he began, his voice wavering as he saw their expectant expressions. I've been on this journey with you, but I realize there's something I haven't fully shared. Something important. He eyed the letters he'd left hidden in his past and watched the crowd lean in, curiosity lighting their faces. I'm not just the mechanic with a big dream. I've inherited something from my grandfather, something I haven't known how to talk about. The words felt foreign yet liberating, bursting forth like a dam unleashed. As he unveiled the truth about his past, he saw the reactions shift, fascination mingled with understanding. These letters, they're filled with my family's stories, their struggles and triumphs. They are the whispers of men and women who face their fears, just like I'm trying to do now. This community center isn't about me and what I have. It's about us and what we can build together. Jake paused, the silence wrapping around him, punctuated only by the ticking of a clock. Then the weight of their attentive gaze invigorated him. I want to share this inheritance with you not as a fortune, but as a platform for us all to stand on. Each of you has made me realize I'm not just about my struggles, but also yours. Together, we have the power to address not just our community needs, but each other's vulnerabilities. A ripple of emotion crossed the crowd. For the first time, he felt free from the shame of wealth and the burden of transparency. He laid bare his fears, his hopes, and the lingering tension that had held him captive. The crowd responded with nods and murmurs of agreement, as if a collective sigh of relief echoed through the room. One person in the back raised a hand. Thank you, Jake. That takes courage. We've all felt lost at some point. Your honesty is what brings us together. Laughter and encouragement erupted, bubbling up like a fountain of shared connection. Jake's heart raced as he realized the stirrings of unity ignited around him. There was no barrier between them here, just trust and the promise of a brighter future. They began discussing ideas for the center, hopes intertwined, creating a tapestry of action that left Jake brimming with excitement. As conversations flowed, Jake glanced at Sarah, whose smile lit the room. She nodded, proud, knowing they were making strides together. In the days that followed, the community rallied around the idea of not just a center but a sanctuary, a place of healing and resilience. They worked tirelessly, renovating and collaborating, with Jake at the helm, no longer holding back pieces of himself. Echoes of laughter eventually filled the once silent center, each moment a testament to the bonds formed through shared truth. People from all walks began to arrive, ready to contribute, to find solace, to connect. Jake stood amid the laughter one evening, watching a group of children play, the center alive with possibility. He felt a surge of pride swell within him, rooted in a new awareness. This journey was never just his alone. It had always been collective. With the weight of inheritance lifted, he gave thanks silently to his grandfather for the struggles penned in those letters. They hadn't defined him, they had freed him. He truly belonged now, not only to this community but to himself, whole and unhidden. And as he looked around, Jake understood that the future was a shared canvas. This space was an emblem of hope, forever in the hands of those who dared to embrace their truths. As he left that night, Jake felt filled with radiant energy, knowing that this was only the beginning of a journey filled with connection, compassion, and shared transformation. Join this community of champions, and embrace the adventure yourself. You need to subscribe now to stay part of the next incredible story. Leave a like to fuel this journey and show your support. Comment below your thoughts and feelings about this amazing transformation. And share instantly with at least 5 friends who could use this inspiring change in their own lives. Don't wait not even one more second to be part of this movement.